All right, good morning, everybody. So, first of all, whew, I don't know. I was doing responding to people's emails and stuff like that, and I'm really hoping I didn't say it in the video, but I gave somebody the impression that you could find the slope of a line using only one point. And I just wanted to make sure that I didn't say it in the video, or that it didn't get told to more than one person, because you can't find the slope of a line with just one point. That's not possible. The reason why in these particular questions that it is possible, or it seems possible, is because we know the line in this case is a constant ratio. So if you're given in these scenarios, if you're given like the 0.13, right, and that point is on the line, we know then that the line, okay, so the line looks like this, first of all, and so we know it's going to have that kind of slope. We also know that each number, actually, that I should have a better example of that. Each number along, let's say like 10, 2, each number along that line is going to be the same ratio as it was, right, as this one. So what I mean is, like, another point in the line is going to be like this, another point in the line is going to be that, right? They have the same ratio because the line falls at the same rate. There's no curves and anything like that, because we're talking about a production possibility frontier. So I wanted to clear that up. The only reason we could do that in this case, it's not straight math, it's because it's a relationship. Those numbers have a relationship. So what I mean by that is, so the numbers you were given before, I'm going to do the one problem just because I don't want misconceptions, and I want to make sure everybody knows what's going on here. So those are the numbers given between Brazil and Canada. Okay, so when we look at it, we're supposed to look at it and say, okay, right there, that's an absolute advantage for Canada in both bananas and in steel, right? So is there an actual reason to trade? Well, there is a reason to trade, because when you look at the opportunity cost, right, Brazil, because of the relationship, they give up so 10 tons of bananas. These are, they give up 10 tons of bananas per ton of steel, right? That is their, that is their opportunity cost. Where in Canada, so this is Brazil, in Canada, right, that means they give up 2 tons of bananas. But where did I go? Bananas. Oof. Per ton of steel. All right. So that means that the opportunity cost is there when you look at it not this way, but you look at it the other way. So again, back to Brazil. So they've got 1,000 per 10,000, which equals 0.1 steel per banana, right? And Canada's got 6 over 12. Whoops. Well, that's half a ton steel over a ton for a ton of banana. Okay, so all this should tell you, this stuff should tell you that right, so here Canada still has an opportunity, has an advantage here, comparative advantage. Whereas here we look at, even though Canada has an absolute advantage in both, Brazil has a comparative advantage in bananas. Okay, so that means that it would make sense for Brazil to produce bananas and trade them to Canada for steel. Okay, that essentially right there is what I wanted you to get out of the entire concept of those two charts, right? And I wanted you to identify, which you can still do, identify what the threshold would be for a successful trading relationship. So what does it make sense? How many bananas would be the minimum or maximum, whatever way you want to look at it, that would be in tons, that would be traded for a ton of steel, right? That would still benefit both parties. Okay, so to do that, some people like to do that graphically, and that's why you draw a graph. I just didn't do a good job of explaining that last time, so I apologize for that. But this is essentially the math that I wanted you to be able to look at and do, whereas I'm sure way too many people did or tried to do math that was either not possible, or it's either that or it's eroding your true math skills without understanding this whole idea of the relationship between the numbers and the fact that we know that the slope is constant. Okay, so that's my fault, and I didn't explain it properly, so just throwing that one out there. All right, so that's yesterday. Today, you're going to start. This is interesting. So this course, as the public course, was updated in 2018. And as I go through the different sections here, and we talk about, I introduce things. I sometimes use, and I identify that when I use materials from the public course, and I look at how they've organized. So I've followed the organization of the course by how the public one has gone. So that means just the order of the topics we've done and stuff like that. And I follow that, but I've changed the content in a lot of cases, and I find it very interesting. So as I said, 2018, this course was updated. The previous one was updated in like 2008 or 2005 or something. It was horrific. I barely used any of the stuff in there because it was garbage. But I really what I find interesting is this next section that we're doing. So we're talking about international. This section is on international economic development, which you can get a whole degree on, by the way. And it's very interesting. It's like a mixture of economics and geography, really. Developmental studies. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, so again, back to 2018 is the updating of this course. And one of the things I find very interesting is that for all its updating, when they go to talk about global development, there's a real sense of, first of all, the materials they use are not necessarily that updated, and there's a sense that the lessons being learned in the videos are not taking hold at all in the world. Okay, so that's going to be the focus of the second video. I'm just going to start you off today with possibly going up and correcting that stuff because of my actions. But first, what you're going to do, there's going to be lots of videos. I'm just going to say lots of videos that are attached today. They're not ones that, luckily you're not listening to me, but they're ones from the public course, and you'll see what I'm doing in the next video, next one I put out. But the first two, one is Crash Course History, and another one is an Obama speech. Now, Obama as not as president at this point. Trump had already been elected. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take notes about the advantages and disadvantages what did I do there? Disadvantages of globalization. So anybody taking, world issues and stuff like that, I feel like anybody taking any course in the humanities in high school has done this already, or at least you've broached the subject in a bunch of different things. So there's two, like I said, two videos, right? Advantages and disadvantages, and look at from at least the viewpoint of one stakeholder. Okay, and this is going to be, so this is preparing for what's coming up. This is a portfolio thing. Okay, because I don't want to throw out too many discussions and all that kind of stuff. I think discussion is going to be valuable here, but the first thing is to get this stuff down in your portfolio. So it is going to be a list, point form list of advantages and disadvantages of globalization. You're going to start there, and you're going to take into account at least the perspective of one stakeholder when you're, so first, I'll do this again. First, it is this as a list, point form, and then you're going to have a little blurb. I mean blurb, and some of the people in the class I'm talking to, blurb, the perspective of one stakeholder. Blurb. And I want this to be a well thought out blurb. Okay, so you're just going to put one paragraph after your point form list to look at what you've put down from the perspective of one particular stakeholder, right? And stakeholder, it could be any number of things. I could list a ton of possible stakeholders. You just pick one that you feel passionate about, or that stuck out in the video, or whatever, right? So that's the start. Okay, that's the first thing today is this, and then you'll get another video from me, and then I'm talking a whole whack of videos to be looking at for the rest of the day, and building up on something. So, okay, so that's where we are, and that's where you are.